Hey loves, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hello. Today I'm back with a new makeup tutorial. I'm gonna share with you guys how to get a very beautiful soft focus airbrush contour and highlight look. I don't know about you, but have you ever taken a photo and you just see like your under eyes are like super bright, your contour looks super just too defined, and your face just looks like a scary mess? Like in person your makeup looks beautiful, but when you go to take a picture on your Snapchat or Instagram, you're just like, what the heck went wrong? Like I thought I spent hours doing my makeup perfect. Today I'm going to show you guys how to get a very beautiful airbrush finish on your skin so that it looks really pretty and kind of natural in person, but it also looks flawless on pictures too. I'm going to insert a flash photo of me here. As you can see, everything is just very soft and blended together. I love doing this look for like bridal makeup or prom makeup if I know I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures and I want my skin to look nice, chiseled, and defined, but I don't want it to look harsh in photos. So this look is definitely more for special occasion. It takes, you know, a lot of different products but slowly building it. So it's definitely not your everyday contour and highlight look. I do use a good amount of product, but I make sure to blend it in a way so that it doesn't look cakey on the skin and so that everything looks nice and fused together. So if you are interested in that, then keep watching, and if you do happen to enjoy this video and you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos from moi, and let me know in the comments down below what videos you guys would like to see next. Without further ado, let's jump into this tutorial. So to get started on this soft focus contour look, you definitely want to make sure your skin is nice and prepped. You want to make sure that it's moisturized so that your foundations, your concealers, your creams all blend into the skin very nice and smoothly. And then obviously, since you will be setting it with powder, you want to make sure your skin's hydrated. That way it doesn't settle in fine lines or crevices as easily. So for me, I like moisturizing my skin using pure organic coconut oil. I just feel that this keeps everything on nice and smooth. It hydrates my skin without making it too oily. And also, since I will be applying a good amount of product under the eye, like powders and concealers, you definitely want to hydrate it. Today I'm using my Lancome Visionaire U eye cream. It's like a balm for the under eye area, so it prevents any powders or concealers from settling in those fine lines as easily. You can use any eye cream of your choice. So to start off for this soft focus look, I'm going to apply my highlighters and my cream contours under my foundation. So I'm going to take a concealer that is about 2 to 3 shades lighter than my complexion. Right now I'm going to be using a brightening pen, so it is not going to conceal the under eye. It's just going to brighten it up and correct any of the discoloration or darkness that is under my eye area. So I'm going to be using this Estee Lauder brightening pen. It has a nice pink undertone to cancel out those blue dark circles, and then like I said, it's going to highlight it, but it's not going to be too heavy. I'm going to use a concealer once I put my foundation on top to actually conceal, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to take this pen and I'm going to angle this in a triangle motion down my face. It looks like a lot of product, but since this concealer is very lightweight and creamy, it's not as much as it appears. Down the nose. Also, you're going to bring it up the forehead to brighten up this area, and then down the chin and here. You can use any like light pinky concealer or brightening pen. Following that, I'm going to go in with a darker concealer, about 4 to 5 shades darker than my complexion. I'm using this MAC correcting palette, and I'm going to mix these two colors right here. As you can see, they are a lot darker than my complexion, but it is okay, we'll be buffing it out. Then going with my airbrush concealer brush by Sephora, I'm going to be mixing these two together, starting from where my top of my ear down to the end of my mouth, carve out this cheek area, sides of the forehead. Also going to be bringing this down the sides of my nose, but I'm going to use a more precise concealer brush. And this is a finished look, so then you can just go on about your day and you'll just feel really chiseled and pretty. So following that, I'm just going to take a damp beauty blender with no product on it, and I'm going to lightly buff out the edges. And then I'm going to go in with a foundation over top of it to kind of blend everything, and basically that's going to help create some more of that soft focus so that all of the edges are blended with a foundation that will kind of melt all the products together. But first I'm just taking this beauty blender and just buffing out all of these edges. Already see how the edges are starting to kind of come together. I'm just going to do the same thing down here. So now that I blended that out with my damp beauty blender, you can see that the edges are starting to kind of fade in a little bit more nicer and not looking as harsh. But now I'm going to go in with a foundation. Today I'm going to be using my True Match foundation in W5, and I'm just going to place it like I normally would place my foundation and just buff it over all the products very lightly. And like I said, it's going to blend everything together and create a nice seamless look. Placing a little bit on the back of my hand, lightly pressing my beauty blender into that. Now you can start seeing the difference from how this side is coming together versus this side. Next step is going to be completely optional. It's up to you on how bad your dark circles may be. But if you do feel like you want some more coverage and if you want to brighten up the under eye area a little bit more, you can go in with a concealer over top. I'm going to use just a tiny bit of this medium to sheer coverage MAC mineralized concealer. It doesn't leave any creases under that eye area. And I'm just going to take a very small amount and I'm just going to highlight this area here, just under my eyes. You can also, if you want to, further highlight down the nose, chin, and forehead. Like I said, this step is completely optional, but if you do want to further brighten this area, you can go ahead and continue with it. So now that we have all of our creams layered on, go ahead and take a few seconds and dampen your beauty blender a little bit more. So now that your beauty blenders are nice and damp, you're going to go ahead and you're going to dip it in some loose powder. I'm going to be taking my Airspun translucent powder. I love this powder more than any other loose powder I have ever tried. I'm going to take my damp beauty blender, dip it in some of the loose powder, and go ahead and set my under eye area. I'm going to use the baking technique, which will further brighten the under eye area even more. Take your beauty blender and just pick up as much of the powder as possible. You're gonna place that under the eye. It's gonna seem like a lot of product, but we will sweep it away in just a minute. When you use a damp beauty blender, it really seals the powder in place under your eye and just really pushes it into the skin so that it doesn't look like it's sitting on top as much and it doesn't look as cakey. It also enhances the pigment of the powder so that it looks a lot brighter under the eye area. You get a much smoother finish. I absolutely love this technique. Go down your nose and pretty much all the places where we highlighted. Bring this up my jawline. So now that we set the areas that we highlighted, we're going to set the areas that we use the darker concealer over. So I'm going to be going in my Kat Von D Shade and Lights palette. I'm going to take the bronzer shade right here. It's a nice warm tone, and I'm going to use this to lightly sweep over the areas that we use the darker concealer. I'm going to be using my Morphe M527, a nice fluffy brush. This will help kind of fuse all of the product together and give you, again, more of that airbrush soft focus finish. I absolutely love this brush for bronzing because it really does give you that kind of chiseled look, but it really fuses everything together and blends the product beautifully. You want to make sure to buff in circular motions upward. That way you're not bringing the product down and making the face look long and muddy. You want to make sure you're pushing it all in circular motions upward. I'm going to take some of that product and just lightly bring it down the sides of my nose. Notice I still haven't swept off the areas that I baked under my eyes because I'm using that so that when I blend the bronzers into it, it kind of fuses into those loose powders and again creates more of that airbrush finish. So this next step is optional, but it is something I like to do when I really want to make the skin look like it has a lot of dimension, but that it still looks like skin and that there are no harsh lines. What I like to do is I like to take a more dense buffing bronzer brush. This is the Morphe M523. So since it's nice and dense, it will pack on more product to give you a more defined finish to the contour. I'm gonna go in with this more neutral tone brown shade in the palette. Basically any neutral brown that has more of that gray undertone to mimic the look of a shadow. And just focus this kind of more towards the top. And lightly blend this into the bronzer shade that I just placed using very soft, swift motions. And always pushing up and never down. Go in with that big fluffy brush, and now we're going to finally sweep away all of the baking. It's going in my Morphe blush palette. I'm going to take this really nice like neutral pink blush color and I'm going to place that on my cheek. I like applying it kind of where the angle of my eyebrow is, down to my cheek here and back. It lifts the face and gives it some more structure. So I like using a really light hand and just lightly building up the pigment. So now that we have our blush on, it is now time to highlight the skin. I'm going to make my highlight nice and intense because in a few seconds I will buff this out with a powder, which is then going to officially lock and just kind of buff and mesh everything together in order to help my highlight to still peek through once we buff over with the powder. I'm going to spray my brush with MAC Fix Plus. I'm going to spray my brush lightly so then when I sweep it into the pigment and apply it to my face, the highlight is now going to be a lot more intense and it's going to seal into my skin a lot better. Highlighter that I'll be using is my Champagne Pop by Becca Cosmetics. You can use any highlight of your choice. I just really like this one because it has a nice like golden undertone which really meshes well with my complexion. And I also am going to bring it up here to lift the face. This last step is really going to help everything photographed super nice and beautifully. It's really going to mesh everything together. You're going to take any foundation powder. Today I'm going to be using my MAC Studio Fix foundation powder in NC40. I'm going to be using this soft, dense Real Techniques buffing brush. You can use any buffing brush of your choice, but this is really going to help push the product into your skin and just, like I said, mesh everything together. I'm going to work in small sections starting from the bottom and working it up. I'm just lightly sweeping using a pretty light hand and very swift motion. And as you can see the difference from this side where everything is nice and smooth together versus this side where you can see the difference between all of the highlight, blush, and the contour. Last but definitely not least, I'm taking my MAC Fix Plus setting spray, and this is just going to set all of the powders into my skin so that it all just locks in place and looks nice and natural. I know we use a lot of product, but this will just help everything seal together so that your face won't look cakey and everything will just photograph beautifully. So here you have it. This is the completed look. As you can see, everything is very nice and fused together. Everything is nice and blended. You can definitely see the definition, but there are no harsh edges, which is definitely what I like to go for when I want that really flawless photo finish soft focus look, especially if I'm going to be taking pictures. I don't want anything with a lot of harsh edges, and basically by running that foundation powder in at the end, it really creates kind of that veil so that when you photograph everything, there is a very nice just kind of gradient effect of everything. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below what you want to see next. And if you like this video and you want to see more videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I have all of my information on the next slide, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!